1 year ago, Dragon Ball Super began and changed many of our lives in more ways than one. And on this Talk Dragon Ball, that is the topic. Before we get to that, like tradition is here on Talk Dragon Ball, last week they retired a great song, Forever Dreaming, but that doesn't mean that I can't resurrect it. So, without further ado, I present Forever Creaming. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh. Take off the bra and let me suck on those, then spread your legs. You are a filthy hoe. I'll get inside and show you a good time, but let's hurry before your husband gets home. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh. I think he'll be very angry if he finds his son ain't his. We will go on Maury Povich and decide who keeps the kids. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh. Fuck it, I don't want this drama. He can have his family back, but we know the kids ain't his. They both came out of my big sack. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh.
You continue to amaze me with how you come up with those lyrics in such a short amount of time. The fact that you write these minutes before, in the half an hour before we do one of these videos, it's quite impressive. That's all I have to say. They get. I wouldn't say they get better and better. Some I like more than others, but they're all pretty impressive. So.
All right, yeah, I appreciate it. Well, welcome to another Talk Dragon Ball, the podcast series where Jay and I get together and talk about Dragon Ball. And those of you who are new to the channel, we always start these with parody songs and things like that I just come up with on the fly. We have a lot of new visitors to Geekdom 101, and of course, welcome. What we do here is we just talk. Jay and I talk Dragon Ball. There's no scripting. There's no, planning. We just kind of have a conversation about Dragon Ball from people who, love the series to the point where it's an obsession, which I'm sure many of you do too. And on this episode, 1 year ago, Jay, 1 year ago, July 5th, 2015, Dragon Ball Super began. Very emotional time for a lot of us. We actually did a Talk Dragon Ball right after the first episode. I think it was you, me, Mike. Who else was on there? Was Expert Games on there?
I remember doing the video, staying up really late over here. We did a video when Super got announced that they were continuing Dragon Ball and doing another series for it. I remember doing a video very, very late in the evening in Australian time with you about that one, and it's hard to believe it's already been a year, to be honest with you. It certainly goes quick. It's been a roller coaster of emotions watching Dragon Ball Super. So.
Yes, from anger to frustration to happiness to more anger, more frustration, and now with the Future Trunks arc, it's like gleeful so far. So, yeah, we do have those videos. Definitely check the archives because Jay and I's Talk Dragon Balls, I'm very proud of them because we actually do cover a lot of things that we really can't cover in regular videos. For example, I had somebody recently ask me what Blu-rays and DVDs should I buy. Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, and we did a whole Talk Dragon Ball. We went through the entire release history and kind of suggested what to buy. Same thing with the manga. I don't think we did the manga one yet, but that one.
No, we should do one. Perhaps you should do that one with Herms. Actually, come to think of it.
Yeah, well, it's funny because this guy Herms. See, okay. This guy Herms is kind of like you, bro. I haven't shared this with you yet. As far as him like buying the manga, because he likes the manga more than the anime. Like he's a manga guy. He's more of a reader. And Herms was telling me the other night we talked when we did the time ring video. I asked him which version of the manga he has, the Kanzenban or the Tankoban. He's like, no, I have both, and I have the full color. And I go, which one do you have? And then so I'm like, okay, so are you going through the Kanzenban? He goes, yeah, the Kanzenban's here at my house. The Tankoban's at my parents' house. So whenever I go visit my parents, I can read the Tankoban. I thought that was kind of funny that he's got a copy of the manga at his parents' house, bro.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
Do you have a copy of the manga at your parents' house?
I don't know. It just reminds me of myself going into the, while I'm at work and I'm like, I could go for some Dragon Ball right about now. And I'll just go to the local comic book store and buy some more Dragon Ball, even though I already own 3 other copies of it at home.
Yeah, I've seen you have like stacks of them, and I'm like, Jay, mail them to me. I need those. No, no.
I'm selfish. I'm sorry. I'm really selfish.
Fucked up. I need those 3-in-1s. I don't have 3-in-1s.
Nothing from my collection has ever left this room, to be honest. As far as I remember, I think I've given away like one or two things, but nothing significant. Like a book. A book to me is very significant, even if I've already got it.
Yeah, yeah. Manga is very important, and we actually should talk about this. The Dragon Ball Super manga has been announced for localization from Viz. We're going to get an official English manga with hardcovers and everything next year, so that is good news.
Yeah.
Of course, you and I have talked about this recently, in fact, about how much I want those damn full colors. And we can never get a break here as Dragon Ball fans. We can never get a break. Fucking France. I talked about this in the Twitter thing we had back and forth. France. By the way, every time we have a Twitter back and forth, people think we're fighting when we're not really fighting. I guess because of our demeanor. I don't think we're not fighting people. We're just having a Twitter back and forth conversation.
I don't really verbally fight. I physically fight, for those of you that don't know. So,
well, now they're gonna think you're physically fighting me. So, but no, we were just talking about how, Toei and, has been kind of holding back this damn Buu Saga of Kai, but also Viz has been holding back the super manga, so at least that's coming. But what's irritating me is that you said your preferred version of watching Dragon Ball is the Kai version, and my preferred version of reading Dragon Ball is the full color, and we don't get it. Meanwhile, France has both. France has everything, and we don't have it. I actually asked Anime AJ, I go, is there any reason why France gets everything? He says, isn't it funny? They get everything before anybody else does. They even have some of the games that we don't have from back in the day, bro. France gets everything, dude.
Fucking French, man.
There's no
Fucking
reason
French.
why. There's no reason.
It's maybe they've got a good relationship with Toei. Maybe the standards over there, like the piracy standards, are low. Who knows? But it is very interesting that they seem to get stuff before countries, because arguably the United States of America would have more fans of Dragon Ball than
Latin America.
Yeah, than France would. So it's very strange. France is a very small country, so it's very interesting.
But there are a lot of Dragon Ball fans there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I would say the amount of Dragon Ball fans there would be low in comparison to the amount of money Toei would make if they were sourcing their stuff out to Latin America or just the Latin community in general, and then America. They'd make so much money, so much more money.
Yeah, they would, absolutely. Now, let's go back to a year ago, bro. I don't want to review the actual episodes. We've already done arc reviews on Talk Dragon Ball. We've already done episode reviews on our respective channels. And, of course, go subscribe to Super Jay, and I'll leave the link in the comment or in the description, excuse me. Jay's starting to do video game content now, so you'll want to definitely head over there and check that out over on Jay's channel. But I want to talk about the first episode, not what happened, but kind of what was going on during the time. Because a lot of people listening to this may have caught on to the Super bandwagon late. When episode 1 of Super aired, or before it aired, we did not know where in the timeline this would take place. I remember the talk with Super was that there were 3 theories. One was that it started after the end of Z. The other one's that it was going to start after Resurrection F, and then the third one's that it was going to start in between Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. Then when the promotional poster appeared with with Champa, whom we called the Fat Beerus, we didn't have his name yet, we were like, wait a minute, what is this? And then we found out they were going to be retelling shortly after the first episode. It was actually after episode 1 aired. We then discovered officially they were going to be retelling the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F movies for the first 2 arcs. And then we were going to go into a strange new story, according to what Toriyama said, where they go to Universe 6, which we actually haven't seen them go into Universe 6. We've only seen them have the tournament. But what are your memories of that time period and then watching the first episode of Super? And, I remember it was kind of like an introductory kind of padding episode. You know what I mean? What do you remember about that whole time period?
It was a very foreign experience for all of us. But for me, my feelings was the same as probably most people's. It was strange watching a series live as it was airing in Japan, because growing up, none of us, not one of us, even the best and biggest Dragon Ball fans who have the most knowledge, none of us had ever watched a Dragon Ball series as it was airing live. This was a first for all of us.
You're right. So, very few fans that are still around did, actually. Almost none.
Yeah, so I felt very lucky in a way that I was watching, in my lifetime, I was able to see a Dragon Ball series start again and just getting to see something as it was airing live in Japan,
Now,
watching it
I will say
at the same time.
I did see Kai when it first was streaming live. But I don't count that because
Yeah,
it's just Kai. Yeah.
no, Kai is a a recut, better dubbed version of the show for the English fans. Like it is still Dragon Ball Z. We're talking about something brand new that you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So even though they were retelling the movies, this is still the start of a new license. So that's the key word there, a new license. Even though Kai is a new license, we had no idea what was going to happen during this padding stuff or what they were going to do with the retellings. Because for all we knew at this stage, they might have wanted to change some stuff from the movies, and they did, but they didn't change as much as maybe we thought they would. But I just remember going into it with a sense of the unknown, hoping that I would enjoy it, and that they would, hoping that they would do things that they haven't done with past series. And they've done it with Vegeta, but I wish they'd been doing it with some of the other characters. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, I just remember going into it with a sense of unknown, but also being extremely grateful that I was able to watch this TV series live. My favorite TV series, Dragon Ball. Watching it live with the Japanese audience, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was totally crazy that night. People were looking for streams. There were some bad streams going on. Just what a crazy night. People were doing their reviews. We first saw the Chozetsu dynamic. I remember I caught the stream late, so I missed the intro, and I had to go back and watch the intro later. And I played that intro over and over again, bro. Chozetsu dynamic, let's go, man! That was so awesome. And so first 3 episodes we were hanging in there. Episode 4 brought in the Pilaf gang, and then episode 5. Episode 4 was kind of a problem because they didn't explain why they were kids, and we were all like waiting for them to do it, and they still haven't done it yet. Maybe we'll get it on Super, who knows? But but episode 5 happened. Do you remember the shitstorm behind episode 5? Because episode 5, right? The thing about episode 5 is that, yes, we all know the animation was absolutely atrocious. But what pissed me off is episode 5, I feel, Jay, did damage to Super because the bad animation went viral. All the major anime websites, and let's be honest, Jay, a lot of them are casual. They don't know shit. Were commenting on Dragon Ball Super having bad animation when it really didn't have it. It was only episode 5 because episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 looked okay. I mean, they looked fine. They had no problems. Episode 5 looked like shit. And as a result of that, people were getting the wrong idea about this show, thinking that every episode looked like that.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit frustrating. I was kind of insulted though overall that they thought that was acceptable to put those sorts of standards on TV because the thing is, we all know that Dragon Ball has had dodgy animations on episodes because for those of you that don't know, they have key animators and they have different animation teams for certain episodes, and they usually bring in the really good animation teams or the good key animators for the really important episodes. But so Dragon Ball's always had bad animated episodes and good animated episodes, but I felt that in modern, I within myself just kind of felt with the modern 2015 at the time TV series, I felt that the standard should be a little bit higher. And digital animation is much easier than hand-drawn animation. It's quicker. So I just felt that it was a bit of an insult to the fans that they accepted those standards on TV. I don't expect perfect animation every week, but usually you just have bad animation in scenes that aren't relevant, or you'll have background characters that aren't well animated. But this was really, really obvious bad animation. It was an
important fight, too.
Yeah, and it was so obvious to the audience that it was bad because you had Beerus being like an extra 4 feet taller than Goku at times on the screen, and he had no nose. So this wasn't just these were key animated scenes. Like these were key being like moments of characters standing still, and you're supposed to be focusing on this stuff, and they just looked like shit. So
and remember how a lot of us wanted them to just cut the movie fight and put it in there? Like that would have been better if it just took the fight from the movie and just.
Well, yeah. To this day, I still personally feel that Goku going straight into his Super Saiyan 3 form is a better directed fight because it makes if Goku's being told that this is the strongest being in the universe and the stronger than anyone he's ever faced, it only makes logical sense for him to go full power. But then you have that thing that Vegeta said in the recent episode, how he likes to start fights off slow. But yeah, I just felt that the fight was poorly directed. It was just Goku jumping at the ground and punching the ground. Like that's all it was, to be honest.
And it took me a year to figure this out and to get this information. But pretty much what had happened was we found out recently that what was going on was Dragon Ball Super was already behind schedule incredibly when it first premiered. Little known fact, and we're going to talk about this. This is all inside information, but when Dragon Ball Super Episode 1 started, only episodes 1 and 2 have been animated, which is why those 2 episodes look so damn good. I mean, they do look great in comparison to 3, 4, and of course 5. And then we later found out, as time went by, after episode 5, and going into the Resurrection F arc, that there were a lot of behind-the-scenes problems over there in Toei. One of them being that they were ridiculously behind schedule, and they had to outsource their animators to the Philippines, to Korea. First, it was just the Philippines, and then they spread out. And as a result of that, we got less than stellar animation for quite some time there, especially in the Resurrection F arc, the original broadcast version. That's when it was really bad. Of course, we later would find out that Toriyama himself was very aware of this and actually contacted Toei and publicly stated how disappointed he was with the animation. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. So what's happened since then is, after or right around the Universe 6 arc, I would say right around there, when Dragon Ball Super really got hot, the merchandise was popping, everything was going good, Toei decided to go ahead and put more money into Super. And the whole thing was that back then, Super was kind of, they weren't really sure how it was going to be received. And One Piece is always going to be their big thing right now. That's their big show right now. Super almost beat One Piece on episode 47. Almost, but not quite. Internationally, of course, Dragon Ball is bigger. But what's interesting is Toei's now putting more money into Super, and that's why the animation, even though it's still not perfect every episode, and you shouldn't expect it to be, is a lot better than it was from episode 5. I don't think we're going to get an episode 5 for quite some time.
That fight, couple of fights, Goku vs. Hit was great, and the short fight with Trunks in black and Trunks' timeline was fantastic. It's like the Dragon Ball evolved, like Dragon Ball Z standards. It was really, really good. The unfortunate thing as well is, I've noticed myself, is that I now associate, and it's probably something that we shouldn't think, but me and probably many other people, I now associate Toei Phils, or Toei in the Philippines, with bad animation. I just think they're a shitty animation team.
That's not even the worst team, though. But they are. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
They might not be, though. They might be a good animation team. But now automatically, whenever I see Toei Phils show up in the end credits, I think, well, they're a shit animation team because of what they've done on Super.
Well, they're always there. They're always.
Maybe they're not given enough time, like, for all we know. But I automatically now, maybe they're not given enough time, maybe they're not given enough money, but, I just feel like whenever I see Toei Phils pop up now, I'm like, wow, they look like shit.
Well, Toei Phils, Philippines is in every episode, because they were commissioned before the series even started. Now, what they've been doing lately, though, because here's the thing, when Dragon Ball Super was first premiering, they had about a 4-week production schedule, which is very, very bad. Dragon Ball Z had 6 to 8 weeks in Dragon Ball. So what they have been doing lately is they've been hiring multiple animation directors to go in there and help out. Now, it's really bad. Now, there was a whole thing that came out from this guy from Tokyo. I think it was Tom in Tokyo. I did a video about it on my channel. This is all last year about it was the whole thing about how anime is in Japan and how many issues they have. Well, from what we understand, they hired several new animation directors, and there were situations, Jay, where they would be finishing the episodes up the day before with the animation director actually hopping into the damn cubicles and finishing shit up himself. So that's how behind they were. But from what I understand, lately they've actually been a lot better about it. They've actually been it's still behind, but because of the multiple animation directors, they actually have been from what I understand, a little bit better, but it's still behind. It's still a rushed project, and I really do hope, I really, really, really hope that they get back on the ball, so that way it's not that big of a jarring experience, I guess.
Yeah, there's just been times in the last 12 months as well. It's almost mind-boggling. Like, they do have episodes ready 4 weeks in advance, but it's almost mind-boggling when you think about it, and then you look at some of the episodes, like take episode 26, for example, and how bad the animation was in episode 26, and then have a look at how much improved it was. It wasn't great in episode 27, but how much better it was than episode 26. So that's the sort of stuff I have questions over. And looking back, there's been a number of times where you look at one episode, it was absolutely atrocious, and then you look at the next episode, and it's the complete polar opposite. It's fantastic. So, and it wasn't necessarily an important episode either, the one that looks better. I just don't understand how they could have such monumental fuck-ups on important episodes sometimes.
That's
been the low.
Yeah, it's all about the timing. You know how
Yeah,
much time they have.
clearly some of those guys at the time over there that were in their job positions didn't have very good time management because I am a manager myself. I'm not going to give away my job position or where I work, so don't bother asking me. But
Victoria's Secret.
I wish. But
Vance worked there.
yeah. But well, that's good on him. I'm kind of jealous. But
Me too.
yeah. But yeah, being a manager, you have to have good time management. You have to be able to see ahead of time and foresee ahead of time, I guess you could say, when you're going to have hiccups, what issues will arise, and plan for that. And clearly, those guys in their job positions, because there have been job changes at Toei in the last 12 months, some of those guys weren't doing their jobs properly because, yeah, the standards, they're putting more money in and the standards are starting to show. But the low of Super in the last 12 months definitely has been even worse than the poor storytelling at times. I would say that the animation has been the lowest point for me in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I would agree. And the some of the logic holes. Now, obviously, when Super was airing is when the Resurrection F started to come out internationally, both in Australia, U.S., and Canada. I know you went to go see the movie about 3, 4 times. I went to go see it once with Lance actually, and it was a fun experience. The talk of the super dub had been going around for a while. A year later, we still don't have that super dub. We also don't have the Kai Bu saga, which ended a week before Super. I know that you're very frustrated about that. We do know that the Kai Bu saga is complete. It's been dubbed already from Funimation. Now, there's rumors of an ocean dub version of all of Kai that we haven't seen yet. Hopefully, I get some answers on that soon. But I know there's frustrations there. It's been a very frustrating time as a Dragon Ball fan in relation to Toei. I think Toei, again, I'm not going to sit here and rant about Toei. We've already done it before, but I think Toei they really have to get on the ball with this. It's kind of becoming embarrassing now that there's leaving money on the table because this show is being pirated each and every week now. And they could be charging $2 a stream or, $3 for an HD stream a month or $5 a month. And I would gladly pay $5 to see a sub stream. And there's just money. Even if it might not be millions of dollars, there's still a lot of money being left on the table, I feel.
Yeah, they are kind of a backwards company with the people running it. I'm not going to say anything rude on air, but they just don't understand the way the modern internet works and what you can do with it. But my biggest frustration is not so much, yeah, like you said, Kai is just, we won't get too off topic, it's just the fact that I would like things to be released in order.
Yeah, you want Kai and Super.
Super. And for those of you that don't care about Kai, I can totally respect that. That's cool. But you need to understand that, there's a lot of Kai fans out there and you should be patient because the people who've been waiting for a dub of Kai have been waiting for over 2 years now. So it's kind of annoying when you hear people bitching and complaining about getting a super dub when it's been just a year now. Like, have some patience, That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, fuck, I can't blame them because we should have already gotten both. That's the thing. I can't blame them as a Dragon Ball fan.
Absolutely, it's annoying that they can do. The strange thing is, in the big scheme of things, a TV series such as Super will make them more money in the long term than Resurrection of F. But when you look at Resurrection of F and how quickly they got that dubbed and sent overseas,
yes,
sent overseas in
every
dubbed,
country, every country got that.
In many countries, that would have made them more money and was a bigger license at the time than Super was. So if they can do that with something like Resurrection of F, which made them so much money, yet they can't do it with a TV series, which, yes, TV series in the long run will make them more money, but right now that TV series isn't going to make them more money than Resurrection of F did in cinemas. So if they can do it with something that's a bigger deal, like, why can't they do it with a TV series? You know what I mean? I know they probably, and the answer is probably for many people that they say is because they want a TV deal, and that's part of what I said before. They're backwards, and they don't understand how the modern internet obviously works because they could just put it on a website for you to stream or fucking sell the Blu-rays simultaneously with the Japanese Blu-rays. Like, they could do so many things.
There's lots of things they could do. The streaming thing would be the best thing, but they're stuck in the past. They want a TV deal.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem, I would say.
Now, looking back, we've already been through the Universe 6 arc. We're right in the middle of the Future Trunks arc, 5 episodes in or whatever. Now, looking back, do you think retelling the first 2 arcs was necessary?
I really don't in the long, in the longish, but when I look at it in the whole, you don't. If I was to say to someone, Here's my way.
Like, okay, if Dragon Ball Super started, episode 1 was a recap of Resurrection F and then right into Champa, that would have been okay?
I think it would have, but I still to this day feel it would have been a better business move to um, air. This is me. This is me. Not everyone's going to agree. Air the movies on TV in Japan. Maybe one week. Like do a time slot where you can air the whole movie. Do the next week where you can air the whole Resurrection of F movie. Then get straight into the Champa stuff. I still feel like with the releases of this, they should have just bundled with the first DVD pack or Blu-ray pack of Super with the first say dozen episodes, and I think it's episodes 1 through 12. They should just have the movies bundled with that when you buy it. They're not going to do that because they lose money, but they don't realize as well. It also would have been better in the long run because they're cutting straight to the new stuff that people want to see. So I kind of question why they decided to retell the movies unless Toriyama wanted that, because they really didn't benefit too much from it. There were some things about the TV series that were better. I felt like the introduction of how God Key is working and how Goku and Vegeta got their blue head forms was good, but it's better than no explanation. But it's not enough to turn the tide over Battle of Gods and how good Battle of Gods was to me, and then how good Resurrection of F was from an action perspective. I know everyone thinks it hasn't got the greatest storytelling, and I can completely respect that.
That's the thing I wanted to real quick jump in on this. With Resurrection F and Battle of Gods, they had a chance to give it a better story. They had a chance to flesh out not just the scenes, but flesh out the story. Tell us more about Beerus. Tell us more about the God forms. Tell us more about Frieza's resurrection. Show the training. And I feel like the entire arc was one big fuck up. It's like it really did bug me to this day. It still does bug me with the Resurrection F arc that they had a chance to like show so much more stuff they couldn't show. They could have brought in more different Z fighters to fight against Frieza's army. They could have had, and instead what they did, showed them training and showed more of the Goku Vegeta training. Instead what they did was they just fucking skipped and added like a Gotenk scene, which was nonsensical. They had a whole Ginyu subplot that led to nothing except Vegeta killing Captain Ginyu and getting all the Ginyu Force members racked up in his list of kills.
Yeah, and
like that was it. It accomplished nothing.
Yeah, those things don't care to me. Like everyone's going, "Oh, Vegeta's killed the entire Ginyu Force now," and I'm just sitting here thinking, I loved one of the best parts. In fact, the best part of Resurrection of F is the fight with the 1,000 soldiers versus the Z fighters. Because why? They're using the side characters. Now, Danny and I have discussed this off air before. Resurrection of F doesn't have the best story. That's fine.
That's what I'm saying. They could have made a better story now. And instead they had a stupid subplot that added more plot holes.
Exactly, yes. But the action in Resurrection of F was fantastic. And the action that they decided to use in the TV series just wasn't up to scratch. So automatically, because Resurrection F arc was such an action-orientated thing, yes, they could have elaborated in the story more, but they didn't. But because it was such an action-orientated movie, I felt like the series had to better that, and there was no way that they could have done it. So again, the movie destroys that arc for me. For animation quality, for the fights, everything. Everything. The only thing that the Resurrection of F did better was when they showed what everyone was kind of up to in their day-to-day life when Frieza destroyed the Earth. Yeah. That is the only thing they did better. You could argue
the Vegeta beatdown too.
You could argue the Vegeta beatdown's better. I probably like it as much or maybe a little bit more. But when I watch Resurrection of F, I don't sit there and go, oh, I wish the one from Super was in there, because it's still pretty brutal in both. So all in all, I just feel like that they could have completely skipped those first two arcs. And yes, I would have been perfectly happy if we had started with episode 28. Being episode 1, that would have been fine.
And some people are saying that, oh, well, that doesn't count. No, it does count. Like, when you're looking back at Super and when it airs in the U.S., it's going to count again, bro, because we're going to hear the same complaints that we heard before. At least, Toei will provide Funimation with the Blu-ray copies, so we're not going to get the original bad animation. We're going to get the slightly better animation, but at least there's that. Other than that, we're going to hear the same complaints about why are we watching this again? We already saw the movies. It just doesn't work in this country like it does in Japan. Well, in Japan, you see all kinds of remakes of shit. Here you see remakes too, but not like this.
They're up to the Resurrection of F Blu-ray release. In fact, I think the next Blu-ray release is the Resurrection of F arc and the start of it. And
the next one's actually the start of the Universe 6 arc.
Is it? Okay,
Resurrection F ending. Yeah.
Okay, well, the Resurrection of F Blu-rays, they need to do some serious work there, and if they don't, I won't even watch that again, because that was the worst part about the Resurrection of F arc. Like I said, the bad storytelling is one thing. For me, to be immersed in something, it has to look good. And the Resurrection of F arc was the worst looking arc in this series by far. You take episode 5 and multiply that by like 4 or 5 episodes, in my opinion. There were several episodes in that Resurrection of F arc where I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is going on over at Toei? Because some of those episodes were just badly animated all over.
Now, let's talk about some of the positives, all right? Because we can't just harp on the negative.
Oh, no, of course.
Toyotaro released a Dragon Ball Super manga. Initially, of course, we were kind of confused about it being a retelling, and then we were wondering, what are they going to do with Resurrection F? Because Toyotaro already did that. Well, they skipped it into the Universe 6 stuff, and I'm sure you remember, but right around the fall and the winter, we started to get the Champa arc in the manga, and there was all kinds of new stuff here. We got the real beginning of Super to some people. We got the 5 Universe 6 guys. We got Monaka. We were all kind of wondering, how strong is Monaka? Is he a joke? Is he really as strong as they say? Is he the Oracle Fish? Then we had Hit. Different fans of the franchise were saying that, oh, well, Hit is actually the Universe 6 equivalent of Cell or of Cooler, and he really wasn't.
I still don't know how they made that assumption. Like, I even when people say, oh, Hit looks a little bit like Cell in the face, I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. Like, Hit looks nothing like Cell to me at all.
I think the reason they made that assumption is because we had Frost, and we had Kaba, who were basically Universe 6 versions of the previous supervillains. And then we had Botamo, who was supposed to be like Boo, and I guess they thought that Magetta was supposed to be like one of the androids. That's my guess. I had seen that. I've seen that meme out there. But you're right, it's not a connection at all. It was all just speculation. And of course, in this community, speculation runs rampant. And sometimes the speculation is kind of well thought out, but other times it's like kind of stupid and it's not well thought out. But we had that whole controversy go down with that. But the manga was ahead of the anime for a long time, and I want to talk about that too. The manga was ahead of the anime until right around February or March when we got the I think it was the Piccolo Frost? That was when the manga was Piccolo versus Frost is when the anime caught up.
Yeah, I still think the manga. I love Toyotaro's manga. Obviously, Toriyama has some sort of script or notes, and
he has a manuscript that he sends to both Toyotaro and Toei,
and they both do their own versions of the events. Honestly, I think Toyotaro for the most part does a much better job of adapting Toriyama's. I think Toyotaro gets Toriyama's mindset a little bit better of this in-universe stuff, and for the most part, I would say 8 times out of 10 when I read a chapter and watch the episodes, obviously not in that order, I feel like Toyotaro gets it spot on, whereas I feel like Toei just doesn't get it as much. So he has less time to work with, and I find it funny he's got a certain amount of pages to work with, and he does a better job with a limited amount of room than Toei does. I just find that baffles me because there is certain things about the Super that are just better than the manga, period.
Yeah.
Like the Magetta versus Vegeta fight, for example. But Toyotaro, for the most part, does a fantastic job, and I hang.
He's a great artist too.
Yeah, I hang for his chapters every time he does a new chapter. Even if I've already seen that version of events from Toei, I hang to see what he does. I love to see it because when Viz announced that they were doing an English translation for it, I was so happy because I've been saying to you for like 6 to 8 months now, I want to buy that. Like, I want it. And everyone's been going, oh, you can import it from Japan. Obviously, I want to be able to fucking read what's on the page. So I'm very happy that that's happening. Very happy.
You are not one of those people, because I've heard this a lot in the community. They feel that now, at this point, the Toyotaro manga is pointless because the anime has caught up. You don't feel that's pointless anymore.
I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all because just look at the last chapter. I mean, I know a lot of you, again, I can appreciate people's opinions, but a lot of people loved the anime with Goku going blue with the Kaioken. I preferred the manga's version of events. It was never stated that he couldn't use the Super Saiyan Red form, as we can call it now, or Super Saiyan God.
Oh, it was never stated. God. Yeah, Red was Goten making a mistake.
Yeah, I know. We can. It was in the manga though, so I was kind of just referencing that. But
yeah.
It's it was never stated he couldn't use that form again. It felt much more natural to the universe that he was pulling that out, and I honestly still feel it's contrived for him to just dump Kaioken on top of the blue form. I honestly do.
A lot of people disagree with you. I think the Kaioken scene was better.
Yeah, that's fine, but yeah, there's just so many things about that and Hit not being so broken, the power scaling, even though the power scaling is one of the worst things about Dragon Ball these days, it just makes more sense for Hit to not be stupidly overpowered to the point. Because by the anime's logic, when I was watching that, looking back, I'm just thinking, so basically what you're saying to me on screen is that if Hit is to fight Champa or Beerus, if they don't finish him quickly, he will just improve to their level. That's what that's telling me, and that makes no sense
Well,
to
I
me.
don't know if he would improve to their level, but he would improve during the fight. But you're right in that Champa and Beerus would have finished him off anyways. Because remember, Champa went in there and was like, "I don't care about time skips. I don't care about any of this stuff." Remember,
Yeah.
he was like, "I'm a god of destruction," which I love that scene, bro,
And-
because he went in there like an alpha, bro. He's
Oh
like,
yeah,
fuck
he would have
these
destroyed him.
guys.
That's the thing. He was willing to kill him quickly. He wasn't going to fuck around. But I just feel like the manga does things better in that way. Sometimes, not always, but I definitely loved how Hit was. People say he was weakened in the manga. He
I
definitely
thought
was.
he was stronger in the anime. I like
He
that.
was. He was weakened a lot, but not as much as people bitch and complain about in the manga. He was still as strong as, you know, a god form level tier character. He was still around a Super Saiyan, God Super Saiyan character. He's not exactly weak. So I definitely think that, and he wasn't able to use his killing techniques. So I definitely feel that, yeah, for the most part, the manga beats the anime, and that's just my opinion. That's not going to change. The Trunks arc, though, on the other hand, is setting the bar very high at this stage.
Yeah, the Trunks arc so far is working out pretty well. So far, it's working out pretty well. Who knows if it'll take a dump in the punch bowl? Here's my question to you about the Trunks arc. Okay, so first of all, before the Trunks arc, let's talk about episode 46 of Super, which is the Potafu arc, which was not very good in my opinion. That whole arc. Before the Trunks arc, in your honest opinion, erase the Trunks arc. Was Dragon Ball Super a disappointment? Yes or no?
I have mixed feelings about it. As a fanboy of the series, like if I put my fanboy cap on, I'm gonna do a Juan here. I'm gonna do a BLACKENFIST here, guys.
Oh
If I
boy.
put my fanboy cap on here, there were so many things about Super, little things here and there that made me mark the fuck out, to steal one of your words. Like, yes, I love Vegeta. He's my favorite character.
There
When
were great
Vegeta-
moments. What you're talking about?
Yeah, when Vegeta knocked out Kaba as a god and said, "Never forget this pain," I was like fucking marking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The,
Vegeta's had
the
the best moments in the series.
yeah, when Goku used Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan with Kaioken, and I'm not contradicting myself, I still enjoyed it. I'm just saying I like the manga
When
version
Nozawa
more.
was fucking amazing.
Yeah, when manga was when Nozawa was screaming and powering up, and then the Chozetsu Dynamic song started playing, I was marking out. So there are so many great things about the series. So as a whole, would I say it's a disappointment? Yes, but there was so many good things to enjoy over the last 12 months.
Now, okay, so I think it was a disappointment because I think honestly, I feel that it could have been so much more. I feel like, and it's not even about like, oh, they should have had it after the series ended and all that. There hasn't been any real drama in the series. There hasn't been any kind of stakes in the series yet before the Future Trunks arc. And even to this day, the Goku versus Black fight, Goku wasn't even going all out in that fight. Now, will Black get stronger and compete with the gods? Most likely, but I still feel that we haven't had a villain yet who really tested the good guys. And I don't count Beerus. I don't count Beerus.
The only thing about this arc, you know, that's bugging me. There's two things about this arc that's bugging me, and I've done my reviews on it, and I have been very positive. I've enjoyed this arc a lot so far.
Okay, real quick. Could this arc save Super if it's good? Your opinion?
I think it will get Super back on track. To save it is a big word, because you've got to have future arcs that at least match this in terms of intensity and quality.
Yeah.
So if you have this arc and then another shit arc, it's going to go back where it left it. You've got to keep the momentum going in future arcs. So because you got to remember, guys, we've had I would say 2.5 pretty underwhelming. I say 2.5 because some of it's been good with the Universe 6 stuff. Some of it was bad, some of it was good. You've had 2.5 pretty poor arcs, to be honest. So I would say that if they have another good arc after this, then it would be definitely, you know, after this arc, if it's great, back on track. If they have another good arc, then it's definitely got the ball rolling. Absolutely. But the two things I have with this arc that I actually have a problem with is, number one, the best part about Trunks' timeline for me, as a fan, was the fact that there was no Goku and death had consequence. Now, when I say no Goku because I don't like Goku, it's not because I don't like Goku, it's because Goku's always at the forefront. Goku's dead in this timeline, and
Trunks
so
is Vegeta, so it's all about Trunks.
Yeah, Vegeta as well. It's all about Trunks. That's what I love about it, and it's so dark. And death has consequence. There's no coming back. I feel like what they're doing here is taking that away somewhat with bringing a Goku character into Trunks' timeline, and also death clearly might not have consequences because Trunks, if Bulma figures out a way for Trunks to just go back and forth between timelines, then it's not going to have a consequence, perhaps. Perhaps, I say.
Yeah, we don't know that yet.
That's the only things I'm worried about. And in terms of Black being a challenge, he's clearly not at this stage because Vegeta and Goku even said in the last episode, Vegeta even said he's no match for Goku or for me at this stage. So Vegeta and Goku have flat out said that he can't beat them at this stage. So we definitely hope that he gets stronger. And I'm sure he will. That's classic Dragon Ball for a villain to get gradually stronger as the arc progresses.
Yeah, you're right. That is something. Except for Frieza, who was always strong, just suppressing his power. Cell and Buu got stronger as the arcs progressed. So yeah, absolutely. And I think that I really hope they do that here because it's going to really piss me off. Honestly, it's going to piss me off if they just don't, if it's just going to be another Goku and Vegeta, like, you know, whooping all their asses. Because that's what I think hurt the Universe 6 stuff is that, you know what I mean? They were just, they could have wiped them all out if they had gone blue.
My main problem with the Patafu arc was the fact that they were doing stuff with Goten and Trunks, and I knew this was like a mini arc, so I'm like, I'm okay with this. Do stuff with Goten and Trunks. Get Gohan and Piccolo involved as well. And then they had Vegeta show up to save Goten and Trunks, and then they had Goku show up to fight Vegeta's copy. So it essentially just became a Goku versus Vegeta fight. And that was a big problem for me. I was like, use your fucking side characters, even if it's only for 2 or 3 episodes. So I definitely want this arc to be, and my prediction, as bold as it is this would make me very happy as a fan, is why don't Goku and Vegeta or Beerus and Whis teach Gohan and Trunks how to use God Ki, or we do something different. Have them fight Black. I think Trunks should be the one to beat Black because it's a problem in his timeline.
Okay, I agree with you. But the only thing I don't want is for Goku and Vegeta to just say, okay, we're not going to fight. You can fight. I want Goku and Vegeta to actually be challenged. That's the thing, is that they haven't been fucking challenged. That's why I disagree with you about Hit. Because I want Hit to be stronger. Because we need a guy who's going to go in there and challenge these guys, bro. Nobody can challenge them except for the God.
That's what Beerus is to me, though. Beerus,
but he's not really a villain.
One of the most, yeah, that's true, but one of the most cop-out answers is when people go, oh, Beerus doesn't count because he's a god. It was like, well, so are they. They have God Ki. So I still think Beerus is the benchmark, Whis is the benchmark, and they should be aspiring to get to those standards. And then any other villains along the way are basically stepping stones for them to reach that level. That's the way I view it personally, so I don't see it as a problem with Hit being weaker.
No, I do, because I understand what you're saying, right? I just feel like Beerus, to me, it's not about him being a god. It's the fact that he's not a malicious character, even though he can be selfish and immature. And honestly, dude, I'm tired of it. Like, at this point, Black needs to be a real threat. I want some actual stakes. Even though we know at the end of the day, because Super takes place in a 10-year time skip, we know that at the end of the day, that Goku and Vegeta are going to end up being okay and everything's fine. I want to at least feel some drama, and I haven't felt any of it so far, except for when it comes to Trunks. But that's because I care about the Trunks character, not because Goku and Vegeta are in any real danger. And I want Goku... Why can't we have a fucking story where Beerus and Whis are in danger? If Toriyama's adding Omni Kings and new levels of gods, why can't we have a god who's actually on their level, on par with them, and comes up with some scheme to fucking take them out? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to age the characters? This is another problem with Dragon Ball Super, is that we're at age 780 and future Trunks, in his version of A780, was a History of Trunks timeline.
Yeah, he looked like he actually looked like a 13-year-old kid. You know?
He was taller. And here he's still a kid. What happened? The butterfly effect makes you de-age now? Like, okay, like what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? That's, to me, is another issue with Super, is the timeline problems. And that's a big, big thing. Now, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's what they need to keep doing, though. Like, the first 4 episodes of this arc have been pretty solid. So I feel like they've got to keep the ball rolling, so to speak.
Now, it's been a year. We're going to wrap it up here in a minute, folks. And, of course, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on the first year of Super. I'm very grateful for Super because it gives me something to watch every week, and I love Dragon Ball. But I still think it could be better. Here, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying Super sucks. Some parts of it do, some parts of it don't. I just think that it could be better significantly. If they put their thinking caps on and come up with some real shit, I think it could be a lot better. That's honestly how I feel. Here's my questions to you. It's been a year now, okay? Do you think having the series take place in the 10-year time skip has hurt the overall Dragon Ball timeline because of the problems with the aging, and has hurt Super storytelling? And then the second part of the question is, if Super continues, are they going to move beyond the end of Z, and are we going to see?
Well,
Are they going to skip that?
it already has hurt it, in my opinion, and the reason being is the fact that the one line from Bulma in the manga and the anime is when she said, "Oh, I haven't seen you for 5 years, and it's been peace." So what you're saying is all this has to take place in 5 years' time, in the events course of 5 years. And now we have to have 5 years of peace after that. It's a bit too much for me to wrap my head around. So they're going to have to retcon, and yes, it is a retcon, guys. It would be a retroactive continuity. They're going to have to change the ending of Z to me. They will have to do that, and for this to make sense, they have to change the ending of Z, which I'm not too sure I'm happy about still, because as a fan, and I'm not one of those people who says, "Oh, if it's not in the manga, it doesn't count." But as a fan, a real pure Dragon Ball fan, the manga is kind of sacred to me. And if
the manga is the original primary canon. I hate using that word, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't ever just reference the manga and go, "Oh, if it's not in the manga, it doesn't count." I never do that, to be perfectly honest. But it is very sacred to me. So if they change the ending of the manga that I own, I'm going to be kind of upset about that. It'll be cool to have an updated version with Toyotaro's adaptation of it in physical form to read, where they have a new ending, but that's the ending. You don't fuck with the ending of something, you know what I mean? So I just feel like...
they should just skip it and go past the end of
which they already did. They already did fuck with the ending in the Tonko Barns, but I just feel like that they should leave the ending as it is, and I get the feeling, though, that this won't make sense because above Bomb was one line saying peacetime for the last 5 years, you know?
Well, it's age 780, and 784 is when it happened, so maybe they're going to retcon it to where she was over-exaggerating the time. I mean, she did under-exaggerate her age. I'm just talking shit.
As long as they insert a line, you know what I mean? Because that's the biggest problem half the time in Super or just Dragon Ball in general. If you don't insert a line for something, it doesn't happen. That's why we have so many fan theories and people saying, "Oh, well, it's not a plot hole because of this," and they make up their own reason. Well, it is a plot. It is a plot hole, or it is an inconsistency. If it's a plot hole or an inconsistency, there's two different things there. If the character doesn't fucking insert a line and say this, or this, it is a plot hole or an inconsistency, depending on the circumstance. But that's what annoys me.
No, I agree. It's very, very annoying, bro, without question. But still, Super's been a fun ride. We've got Xenoverse 2 coming. There's so much stuff going on now in Dragon Ball. We may get a new movie maybe next year. I don't know. People are saying they're going to announce one this year. There's absolutely no hints to that. But it'll be
if they did, it would be in December, some really late in the year.
Well, they announced they teased Fukatsu no F in July of last year and Battle of Gods in July of 2012. So I mean, usually it's in the summertime. Like we're gonna know it's gonna be soon, depending on when they want to release it, because they usually come out with movies during Golden Week. Like that's been their thing. Like late April, early.
I just remember we got a lot of the promotional stuff for Resurrection of F towards the end of 2014. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, who knows, bro? But the point is that Super, I'm very grateful for Super. There are problems, here. There are issues. But still, I still love Super. And I still enjoy watching it every week, even though it has been, to me, a bit of a letdown. But Future Trunks is going pretty well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to cover about this past year? Not so much. I don't want to talk about, our YouTube stuff. Like, that's meta stuff. Just more stuff.
I think that it's been, like I said, a roller coaster of emotions. I've been really pissed off at times. Obviously, I've had a couple of rant videos that people haven't liked. But I honestly, for the most part, for the first time in the last probably, with parts of the Universe 6 arc, and then this first 4 weeks of this arc, for the first time, I'd say that I'm starting to enjoy this series a lot.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I really am.
Yeah, and someone actually asked me the other day, "Do you prefer Super or GT? Do you still prefer GT?" For the first time, I'm starting to prefer Super to GT, which is a big transition for me. So I'm really, and not because I'm a GT fanboy, but I just felt that GT was a little bit better than Super for the most part, and now it's starting to change my opinion of that with the Universe 6 arc. And with the Trunks arc, it's just getting a little bit better, which is awesome. And that pleases me. I don't want this to be worse than GT. I want it to be better than GT because this is Toriyama's vision of what's going to happen. So I'm definitely happy about that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody check out Super Jay's channel. I'm going to put the link down below as always. And thank you as always, Jay, for coming on and talking about the first year of Super. And one last question before we get out of here. Do you think, I'm going to put you on the spot, do you think Super will be around for one more year at least? Do you think that in July 2017 we'll still be talking about Super and it's still going to be going?
I have a feeling yes, because of the amount of money. I think, okay, answer this quickly, so we can get out of here. I think it's going to depend on the execution of this arc and the reception of it, and the execution and reception of the arcs after that. Because they're obviously got a couple of arcs planned up their sleeves after this with the Omni King and all that stuff. But I definitely think it depends on the reception and execution of those two arcs as to whether it exists in 12 months' time. If I was a betting man, I'd say yes.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. And a dub by next year? By July 5th,
surely yes. I will have to say yes, only because for them to voice characters, and this is something that Rhymestyle told me, and this isn't any information I can't give out.
It's probably something that I told him. About Xenoverse? Is it about
basically,
Xenoverse?
Yeah, Xenoverse.
Yeah, I told him that.
for them to voice characters in Super Funimation. For those of you that don't notice, on the video game trailers for those games, they have Toei's stamp and Funimation's stamp. For them to voice the characters in those video games, the Super characters, which may be DLC packs, they would have to have the license for Dragon Ball Super. So I would say yes, just because Xenoverse 2 is coming out.
Well, that's not necessarily the case, though. I will say, let me just butt in here, because when Battle of Z came out, they did not have the license. It's two different licenses. That's actually not entirely true, Jay, because when Battle of Z came out, they had Beerus. The Namco Bandai license and the Toei license are two different things. Now, logically, if they're going to be having Super characters as DLC, which I'm fairly certain they will, maybe DLC Pack 2 or 3, they're going to have a Hit, they're going to have a Kaba, they're going to have a Champa already cast. So there is something to that, and they're probably going to keep the same actor, but
that's what
not always.
That's what I was told by Dino, so obviously he was wrong. So.
Well, he's wrong about the licensing part, because it's not the same license.
I initially said to him what you said right now.
No, you're right. It's not the same. You're absolutely right. It's now nowhere close to being the same license, bro, at all. But if Sabat is still going to be running this thing, he's obviously going to pick the people who he feels are going to voice the characters in the series. I mean, that's the only thing that makes... Sabat would not be dumb enough to hire somebody who's going to be a different actor unless he was kind of screwed and he had to pick somebody because he was rushed. Because we don't really know what's going on. He might pick a Hit, and then maybe the guy who plays Hit in the game can't do it for Super, and then he has to hire somebody who sounds like that guy. We've seen that before. There's one Dragon Ball game where Damian Clark does not play Cell. I forget which one it was.
I don't know, but he was replaced by Dartarian Nickelback.
It's the same guy, bro. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah. Damn, you actually know that. I was.
Did you forget who I was?
You are geekdom, I guess.
Ice cold, no mistakes, bro.
No, it was Travis Willingham, actually.
Yeah, Travis Willingham. Yeah.
I'm just laughing because you saw straight through me. Even though
well, I want you to paint me like one of your French girls. So.
You got me.
Mike's favorite movie.
Travis Willingham was the one who replaced Damian Clark.
Yeah. So we might get that again. But, there are two different licenses. But I do think that it will carry over at least the majority of them.
They did, with Battle of Z, they did keep Jason Douglas and Ian Sinclair. So hopefully they pick a cast and they stick with it. Because when Ian Sinclair and Jason Douglas did Battle of Z, they obviously returned for Battle of Gods English dub. So.
Yeah, because they didn't have the Battle of Gods license for a year after the movie came out. People forget that Battle of Gods was not like Resurrection F. Resurrection F came out in Japan April 18th, and we got it here August 12th. Battle of Gods came out March 30th, 2013, and we didn't get it here until August 2014. So it was a year. I think Super will be faster, but still, we'll see what happens. But the point is that they're trying to get Super done. Sabat has changed his Twitter to and here's why he did it. See, people aren't really figuring it out. People think that this guy's being covert, and he's not. The reason why Chris Sabat says DB Super Dub status equals sure wish I knew is because he doesn't want you to constantly tweet him every goddamn day. When's the Super Dub coming?
Yeah.
He doesn't know. Please leave the voice actors alone.
Yeah,
leave Funimation alone. Leave Schemmel alone. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. Fuck. When it gets announced, every YouTube channel will talk about it, and Funimation will talk about it, and they'll talk about it. But until then,
and Madman down here.
You're gonna know. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm getting mad. You're gonna know when it gets announced. It ain't gonna be no secret.
Yeah, well, Madman will announce it down here as well for those of you that are Australian viewers, and you just need to be patient and understand that these...
KANZENSHUU, Anime News Network.
Yeah, So celebrities are still people, and you asking them the same question over and over again is going to piss them off. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. If I was in
It
their
pisses me
shoes,
off, and I'm not a celebrity.
yeah, yeah. If I was in their shoes, even if I wasn't on a contract and had a public image, I probably would have snapped by now and said "fuck off," you know.
Well,
And
Chef has a couple
they
times.
probably want to say that, so just keep that in mind.
No, you're right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and the thing is, our audience, I think, is pretty smart. I think my subs are pretty smart. But if you know somebody out there, or if you're doing it, please stop. Leave them alone. When it gets announced, we're going to know. Don't even ask me. Don't even say, "Hey, where's the super dub?" When it gets announced, we're going. I will tell you. I promise. There's no point in even asking.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sorry, Jay. I ranted there.
No, we're both ranted a bit. Rant over.
Just leave these people alone, dude. I can't even imagine how bad it is for like the Spanish dub cast too, bro. They gotta hear the same shit. Just leave them alone. All right. Well, anyways, hope everybody checked out everybody enjoyed the video. Check out Super Jan, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
Don't forget to subscribe.